You're lying in bed, the lights are off, and instead of drifting towards sleep, a screen is flickering into life behind your eyes. You're the lead character in a scene that hasn't happened. Maybe you're delivering a speech that leaves a room speechless, or finally saying the thing you should have said 3 years ago to someone who doesn't deserve the mental rent they're still charging you. You run the dialogue, then you rerun it. You tweak the phrasing, someone says something slightly different, and you go back, redoing the whole scene to get a better response this time. While this feels like a private, isolating quirk, it's actually a specific psychological signature. It highlights a recurring disconnect between the version of yourself you present to the world and the one that only comes out when the room is dark. Researchers call this paracosmic thinking, the creation of elaborate, self-directed mental narratives. Jerome Singer, a psychologist at Yale, spent decades investigating these internal worlds. He found that these aren't just idle daydreams. This data shows that people who engage in constructive, story-driven fantasies tend to score higher on measures of emotional regulation and creative problem-solving. Curious, this raises a question. If these scenarios indicate a sophisticated inner life, why does the brain wait until we are completely isolated to let this version of our identity take the lead? The answer lies in a specific neurological window right before sleep, called hypnagogia. During this transition, the logical part of your brain starts going quiet before your emotional side does. This graph illustrates the gap where suppressed feelings rise up. Our brains are story-making machines, trying to resolve daily cliffhangers. Because we often suppress these frustrations to save energy during the day, the brain keeps the drafts of those conversations open. The pre-sleep imagination serves as an editing bay, where the emotional brain finally processes everything the logical brain didn't have time for. These scenarios usually fall into 2 emotional buckets. First, there's the triumphant self, where you finally receive the recognition or closure you feel you've earned. This is a form of identity maintenance. You are rehearsing the person you want to be, reclaiming moments where you felt your true self didn't quite make it into the room. But other scenarios are darker, rehearsals for worst-case outcomes, lost arguments, or quiet scenes with someone you've lost. This isn't a symptom of being stuck. It's your nervous system performing emotional memory consolidation. By playing these out, your mind is surfacing what it needs to process before moving into deep REM sleep. In both cases, the brain is attempting to find a sense of narrative justice, untangling the day's events so they can be stored away. For many, this internal life is particularly developed because of how they were required to act in public. If you grew up in an environment where your emotional reality wasn't acknowledged, where what you felt didn't match what you were allowed to say at the dinner table, you had to find somewhere else to put those feelings. Over time, the dark room before sleep became that place. The imagination wasn't an escape from your life. It was a continuation of it, operating underground where it was safe from outside judgment. There's a cinematic quality to these scenes, the precision of the timing, the lack of hesitation. You cast yourself as someone who speaks with a clarity your actual mouth would rarely deliver in real time. Most of us are so busy managing how we come across to others that we edit ourselves into a softer, quieter version of who we are. But the person giving that speech in your head, the one who is finally being understood, that person isn't a fictional character. They are simply who you are when the performance of daily life is finally switched off. These nightly scenes serve as a recurring record of your actual desires. They show you with very little ambiguity who you wish you were allowed to be when no one is watching. But there is a limit to the internal world. While the dialogue in your head is perfect, imagined actions don't have the power to compound. They stay exactly where you left them when you woke up. Tonight, when the scene starts playing, try to notice the specific want underneath the dialogue. It has likely been trying to tell you the same thing for a long time. The real version of your life will be messier and less edited than the one in your head. But the only way to make it real is to let that unedited version of yourself step out into the daylight.